Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Kickin' Bass TV. Today's video we're going to be discussing fishing line. The three main types of line going to be your monofilament, your fluorocarbon, and your braided line. Come down to Bass Pro Shop today to show you an example of the types of line we use the most and what applications we prefer to use each for. So if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button down below and stay tuned. Alright guys, today we're going to be talking about fishing line. We've all been in the tackle shop and seen that wall with 150 different types of fishing line up there, and that can be really confusing, especially if you're a beginner angler and you don't know what each specific line is intended use for. Now, today we're going to show you the difference between those lines and hopefully help you make a decision as to what type of line you should be using. While there are a lot of specialty lines and subcategories, there are basically three main types of line, and that's going to be your monofilament, your fluorocarbon, and your braided line. Monofilament is basically made by combining different polymers to produce single strand plastic line. It's going to have more stretch than your fluoro and braid, which means it's going to withstand higher impact. It's also going to have low visibility in the water, as well as float on the surface as opposed to sinking because of its buoyancy. And overall, it's just the most affordable type of line on the market. Fluorocarbon is made up of a PVDF polymer, which is basically a fluorine and carbon compound. It's going to have a higher abrasion resistance than most mono. It's also going to have less stretch, which means higher sensitivity, and it sinks in the water as opposed to floating because of its density. It also has the lowest visibility in the water of any line on the market, which is why a lot of anglers like to use it. Your braided line is going to be made up of woven fibers such as cotton, Dacron, and Spectra, things like that. It's going to be stronger than your mono and fluoro line with a smaller diameter. It's also going to have higher sensitivity, but it does have a higher visibility in the water as well as a lower resistance to abrasion. When it comes to the different types of line and what they're best suited for, we like to throw a monofilament in the spring and summertime because not only are the bass more aggressive that time of year and tend to not notice the line as much, but you've also got less clarity in the water as opposed to the fall and the wintertime when visibility really becomes an issue. As far as baits, it's great for things like topwater, suspending jerk baits, drop shots, and all kinds of mid-column baits because the buoyancy of the line is going to help you keep that bait where you want it in the water column. It's also great for things like a wacky rig because it's going to give you that super slow sink rate that you want, and just overall a really good beginner line because it's super forgiving and it's also super affordable. So no matter what kind of budget you're on, you can pretty much go to the store and find a spool of monofilament. When it comes to fluoro, I really like to throw that in the fall and the wintertime because of its high tensile strength, especially in colder conditions. And those colder conditions are going to mean that the water is going to start to clear up as well in most of the lakes, and that means that visibility is a huge factor. So you'll see a lot of anglers in the fall and the wintertime switch to fluoro if for no other reason, just because it's the lowest visibility line that you can get. As far as baits, it's great for sinking baits, bottom baits, things like jigs, worms, when you want that high sensitivity. It's also great for cranking, deep cranking, when you're working around cover and structure. You can use that with a lot more confidence without having to worry about it getting cut on some brush because of the high abrasion resistance. And also, like we mentioned, because of its low visibility factor, it's also one of the most popular things for anglers to use as a leader line. When it comes to braided line, great line to use year round. The only thing is it does absorb a lot of water, so in the wintertime you got to be careful of ice buildup. Other than that, it's really great for open water scenarios where you don't have to worry about getting snagged or hung up on stuff. It's great for heavier swim baits and glide baits because you're going to get that action that you won't get from lining it up with fluoro or mono. It's also a good overall line to use for power fishing in general. If you're throwing a weedless jig or a swim jig through heavy grass beds, weed patches, stuff like that, you're going to want that braid because 99% of the time it's going to cut right through most of the stuff that would normally tie you up on mono or fluoro. It's also good for big topwater blow-ups. If you're fishing in areas where you know you've got big bass, yeah, I'd rather use braid on topwater than mono, honestly. And overall, just a really good main line to use. A lot of people like to use braid as their main line with a fluoro or mono leader just to have that visibility advantage. When it comes to the type of line we use the most, Really hard to beat Suffix. Honestly, most of the time I'm using Suffix Advanced Mono because it's a hypercopolymer blend, super unique, really tough, lasts twice as long, and comes with 330 yards instead of 200 or 100 that other companies will give you. When it comes to the fluorocarbon, a lot of people swear by Seaguar and Vizex, but honestly, for my money, the Suffix Advanced Fluoro is just as good, if not better, than the Seaguar. And then when it comes to braid, there's really no contest. The Suffix Performance Braid and the Suffix 832 are hands down the smoothest braid I've ever used, which means ultimate castability, and they're super strong, so I've had them on my reels for up to 6 months before. That's going to do it for the video today, guys. Thanks for checking it out. Hopefully you enjoyed this one and it's helped you learn a little bit more about the different types of fishing line that are available to you and how to make the right choice for each specific application. As always, the best way to support us here at the channel is to hit that subscribe button and share our videos with your family and friends that are into bass fishing. And if you want to stay up to date with the new releases, all you got to do is hit that bell notification button right next to it. As always, we'd love to hear from you guys, so don't hesitate to leave us a comment in the comment section down below, or you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Kickin' Bass TV Official. Until next time, guys, I'm D with Kickin' Bass TV.
Subscribe!